So, some of the events, meetings that have happened since the last update. I was in Mississauga on March 10th to provide remarks at the opening of the Little NHL. And congrats to all our teams that participated and to those teams that won. I understand there were over 227 teams there from across Ontario. On March 11th, Lonnie Bomberry, Phil Montour, and I met with the new mayors in Brantford and the County of Brant, Mayor Kevin Davis and Mayor David Bailey, to talk to them about Six Nations land rights and to show them a PowerPoint presentation on our global solution. On March 12th, I attended in Toronto at the University of Toronto along with Janice Montour, our Director of Tourism. We met with the President of the University to discuss the development of a landscape project, or an Indigenous landscape project, which they want to put at the St. George campus of the university. Later in the afternoon, the Chief of Staff for the Minister of Seniors, Jude Welch, was in our community, and I took him on a short tour. On the 13th of March, I traveled to Guelph with Barry Hill and Kyle Garlow, who took part on a panel on food security at the University of Guelph. Kyle Garlow was a panelist, and the panel was moderated by Barry Hill. And Barry informed me later that he was given a letter by the university people, but he didn't open it till he got home and found out that he was going to be granted an honorary doctorate from the University of Guelph, and probably in June. So congratulations to Dr. Barry Hill. On March 14th, I was at the University of Waterloo. There were some non-Indigenous students who had did an exhibit to promote a narrative of Indigenous peoples, and it was about residential schools, and they had asked me to come up and view it. On March 14th, we had the badge ceremony for 3 new police officers with the Six Nations Police. And we ended off that week, that Friday was a busy week, or day for me in Toronto. Myself, Councillor Audrey Paulus Bomberry, and some of the staff met with Indigenous Services to continue our discussions on education. And I also took part in a videotaping to honor Robbie Robertson, who will be receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Canadian Music Broadcasting Association. So congrats again to Robbie on another well-earned award. We then met with some of the provincial and federal officials about cannabis and about how our laws can harmonize. And I ended off that night by speaking to the Iranian Women's Organization of Ontario in Don Mills. I think it's important to meet and speak to these groups to educate them and make them aware of our history and our culture. On March 19th and 20th, Councillor Carl Hill and I were in Ottawa to attend special meetings of the Iroquois Caucus. We talked about our relationship with each other and our relationship with the governments. And we also talked about economic development and how we can work with each other and trade with each other and then come together as Haudenosaunee communities and trade with other First Nations, not only in Canada, but in the United States, but internationally. On the 21st, I joined Lonnie Bomberry and Phil Montour in meeting with some students from Osgoode Hall who were here visiting Six Nations. Later that evening, I attended a vigil in Brantford that was put on by the Muslim students at Wilfrid Laurier University, and it was a vigil to remember those who were killed in the shooting at the Muslim mosque in New Zealand. On March 26th, we were happy to welcome Federal Minister of Science and Sport, Kirsty Duncan, to Six Nations. We toured her around our community, the recreation complex, and she also toured the STEAM Academy in Brantford, at the Brantford campus. And later that evening, I attended the Safe Streets, Save Lives presentation that is held annually. This year it was held at Brantford City Hall, and it's to acknowledge police officers from Six Nations, from the city and from the county for work they do in promoting safe streets and safe lives. And Six Nations recipient this year was Jessie Miller. On the 27th, I had representatives from TIFF, or the Toronto International Film Festival, visiting me. They wanted me to take part in some of the activities happening and during TIFF, which is from September 5th to 15th, and also to maybe try and get some of our artists to perform on the stage over the weekend of September 5th, 6th, and 7th. Also that day, the Mohawk Chapel welcomed Reverend Canon Paul Wright, who is visiting the Royal Chapels, which is one of ours is. He is from St. James's Palace in the United Kingdom, and so thanks to Barry Hill for organizing an event up there for him. On April 4th, I had a FaceTime call with David Grievenberg from the United Kingdom. He is the CEO of the Commonwealth Games International. and he wanted to discuss preparations for a global declaration on truth and conciliation with Indigenous people through sports. This is a follow-up to our participation at the Commonwealth Games in the Gold Coast in Australia last year, so we're going to work with him on that. This is an exciting event. On April 7th, we had our second community wellness dinner, and it was well attended thanks to all the people that came out, all the staff that helped organize it, and we'll continue to have more of these dinners in the next few months. April 8th, I took part in the flag-raising ceremony at Brantford City Hall. This was in recognition of National Volunteer Week. I just want to thank all those volunteers for all the work that they do. And later that evening, the Miles to Go Cancer Awareness Group, who are all volunteers, had their dinner to celebrate their 21st anniversary. And I attended that and brought some words and thanked them for the work that they do. And later that week, April 9th and 10th and 11th, I attended the Special Chiefs of Ontario Assembly along with Councillors Carl Hill, Sherry Lynn Hill-Pierce, and Melba Thomas. This was held just as an annual kind of a spring meeting they have, and we talked about some of the legislations, we talked about restructuring, we talked about funding formulas, and then just got regular updates. I also had the time to meet with Minister Stephen Clark, who is the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and we talked about trying to get an exemption for First Nations from property tax that is being levied by municipalities on land that we have acquired back. So work will continue on that. And on Thursday, April 11th, I was so excited to be at an announcement at the Ontario Lacrosse Hall of Fame in St. Catharines, and it was an announcement by Kirsty Duncan, who is the Federal Minister of Sport. She announced that lacrosse is going to be one of the sports that will be played in the Canada Summer Games in the Niagara region in 2021. We're also a partner in those games, and this is something I've been personally advocating and lobbying for some time, so we're really happy about that announcement.